What's going on, everybody?
Today
we are
on SOCIALeyes.
SOCIALeyes
on the black couch.
Just hanging out. Thanks for hanging out with us. We are going to be reading, of course,
A Boy Called Christmas.
Whoa. What an amazing book so far. Oh my God, the last chapter was so thrilling. He found the village, the magical village. All he had to do was believe, and everything appeared. All the streets. And
I think none of those other men are going to see it, but only Papa Joel.
What was your favorite part of the last chapter? I'll tell you what my favorite part is. But what was your favorite part? I want to know.
When Vita made friends.
When he made friends?
Yeah.
My favorite part is when they saw all the other reindeer. And what were their names? Donner and Cupid, Comet.
There's Dasher
and Donner, and Comet and Cupid. And I don't know all their names, but he named them all. They actually named each and every one of them, and they named all the stuff. Comet with a white streak on his back. Prancer, he's so funny, skipping with Cupid. Cupid will lick your hand off if you let him. Vixen, Dancer, and Dasher,
and Blitzen.
Blitzen was his. These are the beautiful reindeer. That's the coolest part. I can't wait to see. I can't wait. Listen, I can't wait to see those reindeer. Okay.
Had a very sunny nose. What?
Are you always going to interrupt me?
I'm not. I was just singing.
How rude.
You interrupted me.
Okay, we are on chapter number 15. The Mystery of Little Kip. Ready? You're up.
You're up.
Okay. If you were an 11-year-old boy of sufficient height like Nicholas, you would have to duck to get in through the Elfhelm village hall door. But once he was inside, Nicholas was overwhelmed by what he saw. There were 7 extremely long wooden tables around which were seated elves. Hundreds of elves. There were small elves and slightly less small elves. There were child elves and grown-up elves. Thin ones, fat ones, somewhere in between ones. He had always imagined that seeing the elves would be the happiest thing in the world. But the atmosphere was very miserable. The elves were divided according to the color of their tunic. I'm a green tunic, says Father Topo, so that means we sit at the top table. The green tunics are members of the elf council. The blue tunics are the elves who have specialisms. The toy making or sleigh craft or gingerbread making. And the brown tunics are the elves with no specialism. It didn't used to be like this. Before Father Vodol, we all sat together. That was what being an elf meant. Togetherness. Who is Father Vodol? Shh, not so loud. He'll hear you. When Nicholas had imagined an elf Christmas, he had always thought there would be singing and that there would be lots of sweet things to eat. And there were sweet things to eat. The whole place smelt like cinnamon and gingerbread. Though the elves didn't seem to be enjoying the food much, there was also singing, but the elves were singing it in the most miserable voice imaginable, despite the happy lyrics. Our problems, well, they come and go. They feel they melt just like the snow. But so long as we can smile and sing, Problems, they won't mean nothing, because we can feast when we can rhyme and be happy. It's Christmas time.
It's Christmas time.
Christmas time. But no one was happy. No one was happy. Their faces were all sad or sour. Nicholas felt uneasy. He whispered to Father Topol, "What's the matter? Why do they look so unhappy?" Before Topol could answer, his great-great-great-great-great-granddaughter proved that not all elves were unhappy. She was already squealing with joy. "It's nearly Christmas!" There was a silence and a tightening of the air, as if the whole room was holding its breath. All the elves had noticed them now and turned to look at Nicholas. Father Topol cleared his throat. "Hello, elves. It looks like we have a special guest just in time for Christmas. Now, as it was Christmas time, we should show kindness to others. And I think we should all show some good old-fashioned elf hospitality, even if he is a human." The elves gasped at the word.
Wait, that's not a good... Wait,
There we go.
A human! One cried. What about the new rules? This elf who was wearing a blue tunic had a strange beard. It was Strippy. He was pointing to a poster torn from the Daily Snow that pinned to the wall. Said, "The new rules for elves." And then gave a list. Nicholas forced himself to smile and wave. There was only an awkward silence, and only one small elf child waved back. Some of the old elves turned and grumbled to themselves. It made no sense. Weren't elves meant to be...
Oh, look at them. Ooh, look at that guy. Kind of looks like a fox.
Which one's the one with the weird,
Oh, look at the one right there. Right there, right there.
I think it's the thing at the top. That guy.
Could be. Do you see him?
That's the picture. I think that the person who said about the new elf rules were this person right here behind Nicholas. Right here. And that friendly. Every time Nicholas had pictured an elf, he pictured the happy creature, smiling, dancing, toy making, and offering gifts of gingerbread. And that was certainly what his father had told him. But maybe the stories weren't factually correct. These elves just turned and said nothing and gave very long glares. He had never considered glaring such an important part of being an elf. Should I leave the comfort? Nicholas feeling uncomfortable. No, said the owners.
High five.
And just to be clear, no. Father Topol shook his head.
High five. There's no need for that. You can sit down with us. We'll find some seats at the table. The whole hall stayed quiet, listening to Father Topol's clogs tapping on the tiled floor as the three of them walked the length of the room. It was quite dark, with only 5 flaming torches on each wall, but Nicholas wished it were darker still, so that he couldn't be seen. Indeed, he wished he wasn't there at all, even though the food on each table was tantalizing for a boy who had known nothing but mushroom and the occasional cloudberry or lingonberry. these past few weeks. Gingerbread, sweet plum soup, jam pastries, bilberry pie. Little Noosh held Nicholas's hand. Her hand was small, but her fingers were long and thin, with pointed little nails. She, like many young elves, knew goodness when she saw it. She had no doubt in her mind that, despite being human and having human ears, Nicholas wasn't somebody she should be afraid of. She led him to a seat. Half the elves at the table left in horror as they saw him approach, which meant there were now a lot of empty seats for him to choose from. He sat in one right next to little Noosh, and as he did, the sight of so much delicious food made some momentarily forget all those elves' eyes watching him, and he picked up a bowl of plum soup from the middle of the table and drank it in one go. Then he stuffed 4 jam pastries into his mouth, and had made a start on a slab of gingerbread before he noticed an elf woman opposite tutting at him. The elf woman had bright blonde hair in 2 plaits that stuck out of the side of her head horizontally in perfectly straight lines. "We don't want your kind here," she hissed. "Not after last time." "But he's nice," said little Noosh. "He wears a red hat. No one who wears a red hat can be a bad person. Why is the color red of life and love and sunset?" "Last time," said Nicholas. "Leave him alone, Mother-ee-ree," said Father Topal. "He means no harm." "Harm? Harm? Harm? Of course he means harm. You ask little Kip if he means harm, if he means no harm. He's human. Humans are all harm." Another elf, solemn-faced, at another table, piped up. "Father Vodol won't be happy." Father Topal considered. "That might be true, Father Doran, but we are good elves." He sighed. Nicholas was confused. "Who is little Kip?" asked Nicholas, remembering the headline in the Daily Snow. And as he said the words, little Kip, the elves at the table stopped eating. "It's probably best not to say anything," shushed Father Topal. "Can I just ask you one more thing?" said Nicholas. "I'd just eat your food and then we should probably—" But before Father Topal could finish his sentence, another elf walked towards the table. This elf was the tallest of all the elves, but he was still only the same height as Nicholas, as when he was sitting down he had a long pointed nose and a black beard that stretched almost to his knees, covering his tunic, and had the kind of screwed up unpleasant face of someone heading into the permanently strong icy wind. He was also holding a black wooden staff. All those elves that were still seated around the table looked away, bowed their heads, or nervously played with their food. "No more singing," he said to the hall. "Singing leads to merriment, and merriment leads to foolishness. I have told you, and this," he pointed at Nicholas, "is why." Nicholas stopped eating too, and met the stare of the scrawling Blackbeard elf. His heart began to gallop, and a cold sense of dread fell over him. Ah, so that's who that is.
How is he the tallest?
I know, eh? He doesn't even look like he's as tall as Nicholas. But he has a beard, he has a pointed nose. Don't you think that's him?
Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe that's Little Kip. They call him Little Kip, but they say he's as tall as Nicholas. Doesn't look as tall as Nicholas. But I don't know. We'll see.
No, as Nicholas sitting.
Ah, there you go. As Nicholas sitting. See? Even I missed that statement. Wow. So he is the head, the leader of all the elves.
Who's the leader?
The leader of all the elves is Kip, little Kip.
No.
That was Kip, wasn't it?
No, of course that's not. Go back to the other page where it has the missing Kip one. add another part. Right here.
Oh, that little kip is still missing. That's right.
Yeah, that's not little
No.
kid.
No.
Hey, we're not here.
No more singing. No more singing. Why did he say that?
Wait, we're on the next
See,
one.
who is little Kip? Asked Nicholas before we did it. Ooh, there's one more page. The new rules. Now, is the new rules part of the prior chapter? I think it is. Nicholas started eating and met the stare of the scrolling, black, bearded elf. His heart began to gallop, and cold sense of dread fell over him. The new rules for elves. Know your place. Rule number 1 is know your place. Rule number 2 is do not spickle dance. Rule number 3 is do not play with toys in public. Rule number 4 is do not play with spinning tops in private or public. Wow, this guy is mean. Rule number 5 is avoid joy and merriment at all times. Rule number 6, worry more. Rule number 7, resist goodwill. Rule number 8, put your own interests before others. What the heck? Rule number 9, don't talk to pixies or trolls or other non-elves. Rule number 10, never under any circumstances allow a human into Elfhelm. Ooh.
Little Kip is broke this law.
Rule number 5,
this
avoid
law,
joy and merriment. Yeah.
and this
And
law.
rule number 10, don't let any humans into Elfhelm.
And rule number 9.
Don't talk to pixies or trolls or other non-elves.
A
I think he
human
broke
is a
every
non-elf.
rule. Except for maybe, no, he broke rule number 1, know your place. He broke all these rules. Huh. So what did you think about that chapter?
I thought it would be happy.
You thought it would be more happy, but it turns out that where this Elfhelm place is miserable. Everyone is miserable. And they're separated. Everyone is separated into groups based on the color of their tunic.
Or what he does.
Or what he does, because the color of their tunic determines what they do. The green ones are the heads, and then the brown ones have no skills. And what color is the ones that have the skills? Do you remember?
No.
No, there was
There was only brown.
brown, green. Green are the heads,
No.
right?
Brown, green, and blue. Those were the only colors.
That's right. The specialisms. The blue tunics are elves with specialisms, which are the ones that can build toys and sleighs and stuff like that. The brown ones have no special skills. So they're basically like levels of, it's like an hierarchy.
So what are the greens?
The greens are the heads. They're basically like the leaders.
So what are the greens?
The greens are the leaders. See, they're the top table elves. The green tunics are members of the elf council.
What's the elf council?
It's like the government. Let's call them the government. They're the members of the government. They're like the prime minister.
Like the prime minister.
They're part of the council. They're in charge. All right, that's the end of chapter number 15.
Boom.
Boom.